Good evening, everyone. Well, good afternoon. How's everyone doing? I love the energy. How's everyone doing? I love the energy. Well, great. I want to thank you all for coming out this afternoon on this beautiful, beautiful, sunny, is it spring yet? Spring day. Here to the embassy. And I want to thank Her Excellency Roya Ramani in her absence for just having a wonderful staff to put on this program, as well as to open up the embassy today to really celebrate International Women's Day. So thank you so very much. To my co-panelists, Nancy Lindberg, Jennifer Solotov, Garsanai Amin, and Sadiqa Fahimi, friends, partners, I am so honored and excited to celebrate International Women's Day with you right here in this embassy, the Afghanistan Embassy, with the first woman ambassador to the U.S. and her esteemed staff. We have to give that. I am so excited about that. The theme for International Women's Day this year is Think Equal, Build Smart, Innovate for Change, which puts innovation by women and girls for women and girls at the heart of efforts to achieve gender equality in the forefront. As the great Funzili said, innovation and technology provide unprecedented opportunities, yet trends indicate a growing gender divide, and women are underrepresented in the field of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and design. I couldn't agree more. From urban planning that focuses on community safety to online learning environments, bringing the classrooms to women and girls where they live, work, and play is vital at this point in time. With the proper social protections, best practices, and mobilization of civil society in the fight against gender-based violence and technology shaped by women, innovation can take race for gender equality to its finishing line by 2030. I don't know about you, but once again, I am so excited and I am fired up. I'm just coming back from a week at the NGO CSW where we focused tremendously on the theme for social protection systems, access to public services, and sustainable infrastructure for gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls. It is a fantastic conference, and if you've never gone, I encourage every woman and man in this room to attend the NGO CSW to see how empowered civil society can be, and they are, to come to New York for 2 weeks for advocacy training, to meet women and connect all around the world, to go back, to be empowered, and to really implement some strategic ways to really carry on the women and gender equality movement. So I really encourage each and every woman in here to experience that at least once. Women have limited access to social protection, public services, and sustainable infrastructure that could increase their productivity and income security. As we live and experience historic moments in the United States, where a record of 102 women are serving in the House of Representatives, comprising at least 23% of the chamber's voting members. That is historic for the United States. 1/3 of those brilliant, beautiful, bold women won their seats for the first time with no political experience. That is capacity building at its best. Where there is a full democracy and true democracy, peaceful transfer of power through electoral processes, implementation of rule of law, women globally are strengthened. Hopefully, they're hopeful and have dreams realized, and the commonalities are women who are committed to fight for the attainment of positive social protection outcomes for women and girls everywhere. When I founded Silke Endress International, our mission was to create a world without borders and connect women to power by sharing their stories. We believe everybody has a story, and as women, we are resilient, we are relentless, and we have created magical moments of leadership and courage along our journeys. It is no small feat. Tonight, we're gathered to talk briefly about the leadership role of women in Afghanistan, the past and current achievements, and the future challenges and opportunities. I would like to pause for a moment to present the order of the panel discussion. So we're going to ask each of our panelists to give a brief, B-R-I-E-F, a brief introductory remarks. And then, because we want to move the program on. And I know as passionate women, 1 minute turns into 5 minutes, which turned into 10 minutes. So we're not doing that today. And so we're going to ask you just to give an introductory remarks after your introduction and bio. And then we're going to close out with Nancy from the USIP to reflect on these young women and their encouraging stories and to close out the program. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, to my left, we have some fierce women who show that tenacity, commitment, and passion, innovation, and pros is the way to get the job done. I'm going to start off at the far left. We have Jennifer Solotov. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. She's a senior social development specialist with the Gender Group of the World Bank. Her research interests include gender and labor markets, gender-based violence and social stratifications in South and East Asia. Jennifer led tasks on gender and social inclusion in Afghanistan, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan, and recently authored Voices to Choices, Bangladesh's Journey in Women's Economic Empowerment. Next we have Garsanai Amin, a 22-year-old grassroots advocate and co-founder of the Afghan Girls Sustainable Education Project and the Global Youth Development Program. Through her work, she has increased enrollment and school completion rates of girls in her community and has created avenues to connect young women with professional and peer mentors from all across the world to drive academic and professional development. Garsanai also leads the Young Women's Leadership Conference in Afghanistan, where she has organized capacity building workshops for over 1,000 participants. And she has recently been named the NGO CSW 63 Women of Extension. That is not a small task. Then we have Sadiqa Fahimi. She's a Fulbright Pharmacy student at Temple University, pursuing her master's degree in innovation management and entrepreneurship. She has worked in Afghanistan for more than 6 years with government organizations and international and national NGOs in women economic empowerment areas. Sadiqa founded the Inspiring Girls organization to guide and motivate young women to start and grow their own businesses in Afghanistan and to create more job opportunities in the market. Then we have Nancy Lindberg. She is the president of the United States Institute of Peace. Prior to joining USIP, she served as USAID's Assistant Administrator for the Bureau of Democracy, Conflict, and Humanitarian Assistance. Ms. Lindberg led USAID teams focused on building resistance and democracy, managing and mitigating conflict, and providing urgent humanitarian assistance. Now, of course, that is just a brief of all these women's fantastic bios. Their full bios are in your program. But for the sake of time, I have abbreviated all their bios. But please, in your leisure, take an opportunity to read the bio. Okay? So we're going to get started. I'm simple. I have 4 major questions for these ladies. And upon answering the questions, you have an opportunity to do your introductory 1 minute. Okay, so women have led the cause for peace in Afghanistan and continue to endure great challenges when it comes to their human rights. How do we protect women's rights without compromise and still participate in the peace process? That's for anyone of you to answer. We'll start with you guys tonight. Is it on?
Pass your microphone, Sissy.
It's on.
Yeah.
It's on.
So So just to make sure that you to keep the track of time, I have 1 minute or 5 minutes?
Yeah. 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. I will bring both the perspectives of Afghan women, how they're being shown in media, and how really actually Afghan women are resilient, visionary, strong, committed, and they're the voices for themselves, that they're not only shaping the future of their country, but are shaping and can contribute to shape the future of the region entirely with having very being close allies. So I've been engaged in the very grassroots level with young women leaders, working closely with them from different districts and different provinces. And I have seen a lot of energy and motivation in each one of them. They are very smart and they know what the future looks like for them. We have strong voices of women all across the world representing us in the best capacity, starting from Her Excellency Ambassador Ruya Rahmani to Her Excellency Ambassador Adela Raz, into all other amazing women from across the world. Yes, the path is very long for us. We still face a lot of violence, discrimination. Women's voices are not heard, and there are not enough policies in place or regulations in place, or not much implementation in place, not actionable steps. But Afghan women and Afghan men are committed, and I speak on behalf of Afghan women right now. They are committed and they are the changing forces for the future.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the Afghan Embassy for inviting me and for providing this such a good event. And it's a honor to be here with Nancy, Farzana, and Jennifer. It's really an honor for me. For my introduction, I can say that before 2001, I was a shepherd in Borneo, a small village in Borneo. But today, I'm a Fulbright scholar. That's a good thing. That is because of the we women. We stand with and we say we want to change. We don't want to sit there to men share the power with us. We want to take the power. We want to take the power. We want to be the leader. So this is what today we have got. And for the peace process, I believe if women be in private sector, if they came for economic empowerment, if they have some share in economic growth of Afghanistan, we will have some role in this process. You know that only 3% of women are in business. Only 3%. That's so less. So if we want to have a role for peace process, if we want to shape Afghanistan in the future, we should came in economic industry or in business industry, and we should start our business and we create job for women, those who have just a skill to make in handicrafts or something else, but they don't have even a basic education. So we need to be together so we will have a good future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here at the Embassy of Afghanistan and to be with these distinguished, accomplished, really inspiring women. Cece, thank you for the introduction. As far as sort of peace process and conflict resolution goes, I'm just going to speak to a couple levels based on my work in Afghanistan as someone who's been trying to address gender inequalities in different South Asian countries for the last 10 years or so. The ways in which I've been aware of the situation of violence in Afghanistan as it pertains to or obstructs development goals has first been the ways that violence interfere with education of girls in particular. The World Bank has been supporting the government of Afghanistan since 2002, and that was the year that it started with the government of Afghanistan's Ministry of Education, the Equality, it's called EQUIP project, Education Quality Improvement Project. And There have been 2 phases so far, and over the course of those 2 phases, about 10 to 12 years, the education rates of girls rose from, they octupled, I guess, so they increased by a factor of about 8, from less than 1 million to more than 8 million. But it's interesting that unlike a lot of the other countries I worked in South Asia, one of the major obstacles to girls getting their education and going to school was their parents feared for their safety and security. And that was in terms of there not being actual buildings, closed buildings that girls could be educated in. Schools, there's a complicated situation in having co-educational schools. If a school, even if there is a building, it doesn't have gender-separate wash facilities, that can be a deterrent. Parents can hold girls back from going to school, especially when they enter the stage of adolescence. And even there were rewards, cash rewards for people who would attack girls on their way to school, and even for creating the death of a female teacher. That was the highest cash reward for Taliban groups who are in the area. So that's been something to overcome in the progress in education, which has been tremendous. That kind of percentage increase is nothing short of astonishing. Also, in 2014, the World Bank published a book called Violence Against Women, Violence Against Women and Girls, Lessons from South Asia. Afghanistan was one of the countries we mapped to see what kinds of organizations were at play there, either working on prevention or treatment efforts for women and girls who were survivors of violence. And what was the most impressive thing to me was that even though there are very high rates of violence against women and girls in Afghanistan, a lot of people, men and women alike, feel that it's justified in the household and don't have much awareness of it. There are a plethora of organizations on the ground working both prevention and treatment, and it was incredibly inspiring finding out the different efforts that were being made there. The only difference between Afghanistan and the other countries in South Asia that we looked at were the Afghan organizations were much harder to map because they had to be that much more underground and private to provide the services, especially safe places.
Wow. Hi, thank you, and thank you, Ambassador Romani. Wonderful. We've already celebrated the fact that it's so wonderful to have you here as the first woman ambassador from Afghanistan.
Thank you very much. And my apologies for being so late. I had to go to an urgent meeting, so it's wonderful to see you all here.
Thank you.
Thank you to Cece and wonderful panelists, and happy International Women's Month to everybody. Very quickly on this question, U.S. Institute of Peace has had a long, deep commitment to working with our Afghan partners since 2006. And I'm here with 2 of my wonderful colleagues, Belkis in the back and Pawasha, who should really be up here. And the first thing I'll say about the question of how to ensure that women continue to be engaged in the peace process and have a significant voice is, number 1, all of the research tells us that when women are involved, you have more successful and more sustained outcomes. So this is what we know to be true. The evidence tells us, and so the question is not if, but how. Number 2, there is a lot of effort underway inside Afghanistan to organize dialogues and ways that women can bring their voices together and to Kabul and to the process. And I know just from hearing our 2 colleagues here that those voices are loud and going to continue, and that's very important. Number 3, our government, the U.S. government, has committed publicly and repeatedly that we will remain advocates for women's rights as the peace process goes forward, that they are enshrined in the Constitution, and that this is an important priority. And we know that there are many, many, many members on Congress who are long, steadfast friends of Afghans and Afghan women in particular. And then finally, I just want to bring to your attention, I'm going to ask Belkis to help